Hello, hello, and welcome back to our channel for a special week 14 of the Sideline Spice Power Rankings winners and losers. Brought to you courtesy of the boys at the Vault Studio. I'm Ryan. I'm solo this week for the first time. I'd be lying if I didn't admit it's slightly intimidating, but I'm excited to once again bring to you our standout risers and fallers from this week's consensus Sideline Spice Power Rankings. As always, at the end of our video, check out the link in the description below to find our complete rankings, and please have your say. But let's get right into it with our biggest winner of the week. This week's biggest winner, and really, who else could it possibly be but the Chicago Bears? After providing the Rams with only their second loss of the season in an absolutely suffocating performance that finished 15-6 at Soldier Field, jumping themselves 3 places and into the top 5 of our rankings in the process. No one else in the NFL has come remotely close to making the Rams look as bad as the Mac-led Chicago defense did this past Sunday, as they bullied their way to 4 interceptions and a safety, held Todd Gurley to only 28 yards while not allowing a single touchdown. MVP candidate Jared Goff posted a career-low 19.1 passer rating. The most impressive part, arguably, is that 3 of the Rams' drives started at the Bears' 15, 49, and 27-yard line following 3 of Trubisky's own interceptions. Again, as we bring up the fact of the increasingly offensive-driven NFL, we sit in awe of an ultimately defense-inspired victory. With the win, the Bears increased their hold of the NFC North, which they now lead by 2 games, and enter this week's matchup with the Green Bay Packers, needing only 2 wins or 2 Viking losses to clinch their playoff position. Number 2. The competition for the second biggest standout riser of this week's climbers was a tough one, with many teams jumping a consensus 3 places after impressive wins. But as we get closer to the playoffs, the teams most likely to pose a threat take precedence. So in step the Indianapolis Colts, who finally brought the Texans' 9-game winning streak to an end, beating them 24-21 on the road in Houston, and consequently jumped to number 10 in the rankings. This was a story of continued success for the Colts' offensive line, who entered Sunday having allowed just 14 sacks all year, and allowed only 2 from the Texans' really menacing pass rush. The Colts defense also played a complete game in slowing down what has been a surging Texans offense, with Watson in particular struggling, taking 5 sacks on the night for a loss of 41 yards, whilst holding the rushing game as a whole to only 89 yards off of 25 carries. Most importantly, with the win, the Colts at 7-6 are now firmly in the hunt for a wildcard spot in the AFC playoff picture. And whilst playing with this kind of form on both sides of the ball, their final 3 fixtures of the Cowboys and Giants at home, before ending their season at the Titans, paints a very winnable picture. And with a mess of teams at 7-6 in the AFC, winning 2 of those alone may be enough to punch their ticket to the playoffs. And finally, an honourable mention, who I'd be remiss to not include, but I'm not happy about, the Miami Dolphins. What an incredible play. Yes, it hurt being a Pats fan, but plays like that is why we love football. It's just incredible. Our biggest loser this week, unquestionably, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who've fallen 5 places to number 12 in our rankings following a shambolic 21-24 loss to the Oakland Raiders, handing them their 3rd win of the season, whilst concurrently opening the door for the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC East with what is now only a half-game lead. The Steelers are in apparent serious trouble as a result of the injury to James Conner, which has meant the introduction of Stephen Ridley and a grind to the success of their running game, which has been so dominant throughout that sort of winning run, gaining only 40 yards on 19 carries from the backup running back. But obviously, though, this was about the combined collapse on part of the Steelers' defense and special team to end the game, who, after watching their offense score a go-ahead touchdown, allowed Derek Carr to march downfield, throw a 6-yard touchdown pass to Derek Carrier with only 21 seconds left, before Chris Boswell, after Roethlisberger again got them into position, slipped and missed a potential game-tying 40-yard field goal attempt, on the final play of the game. The Steelers have now lost 3 games in a row under sort of differing circumstances, but the loss of Connor in particular seems to be affecting them. And with Roethlisberger now also dealing with a rib injury, their match against the Patriots in Pittsburgh on Sunday stands to have huge playoff implications, potentially for both teams. And finally, our final loser, the Carolina Panthers. A team in similar circumstances to those of the Steelers, however losing their 5th straight game, this time 20-26 to the Cleveland Browns, and now finding themselves in number 19 in our rankings. As much as I'd like to make this about the much improved Browns, who are now 3-2 under interim coach Greg Williams, this is really about the continued collapse of the Carolina Panthers under Ron Rivera, who only this week took over defensive play calling duties in an effort to improve play on that side of the ball. That's not their biggest problem, though. Their biggest problem seems to remain sort of with Newton, who found himself thoroughly outplayed by rookie Baker Mayfield on the opposite side of the field in the second half and down the stretch, especially, with Newton overthrowing Jarius Wright on 4th and goal at the 3 with 2.5 odd minutes left for what would have been the go-ahead score. But then making it worse still by, after the defense got the ball back and gave them another chance to win the game, Newton again badly missed his receiver, this time Devin Funchess, throwing right into the hands of the Browns' Demarius Randall, cementing the loss for his team. Carolina entered the game just a half game out of a wild card spot in the NFC, but now needs more than a lot of help with 3 games remaining, 2 of which are against the top-seeded New Orleans Saints, including at home on Sunday. Sort of to shake it up a bit in an effort to keep things sort of fresh, especially being on my own this week, just going to hit you with a sort of final top 10 from the Sideline Spice consensus power rankings this week, just to close us out. So at 10, we've got the Cowboys, whose rise has continued up 2 spots this week from 11 to number 9. Seattle, after their dominant performance against the Vikings, have also climbed 2 places up to number 8 from number 10. The Texans, with their loss, have fallen 2 places from number 5 to number 7. Pats also as well, suffering a loss under those circumstances, never goes down too well, falling 2 places to number 6. The Bears, our biggest winner, as mentioned, climbing 3 places from number 8 to number 5. Chargers also quietly going about their business, getting another win on the board, jumping from number 6 to number 4. The Rams suffering that defeat against the Bears, looking completely suffocated in doing so, not looking remotely like themselves, falling 2 places to number 3, finally out off that number 1 position. The Chiefs, another impressive win. They had no business being in that game at the end of the game. The 4th and however long miracle throw from Mahomes to even set up overtime in that game really points to how special this player is and how far he can take this team with or without Hunt or whatever the circumstances may be. Number 2. Saints, new number 1 with the fall of the Rams, previously number 2. Really sort of coming back together after that blip against the Cowboys. They're still going to be the favorite, and especially anyone having to go through New Orleans in the playoffs is not going to enjoy that trip. Cool. So I hope you enjoyed my solo recap of the biggest winners and losers, rises and fallers of the Sideline Spice consensus power rankings. That's all I have time for tonight. But as always, check out our complete rankings on either the Sideline Spice Facebook or Instagram by following the link in the description below. And don't forget to smash that like and subscribe. Most importantly, please give us your thoughts. Join the discussion. Where does your team sit? Where should they sit? Sort of what have we got right? What have we got wrong? Please hit us up. Cheers, guys.